All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a question that, honestly, feels like it's been ripped straight out of science fiction, but it's becoming a very real and very urgent economic debate.
I mean, think about it. You've got ChatGPT churning out emails, you've got robots on factory floors. AI is already a massive economic force. And that's leading us to this pretty wild question. If AI can do our jobs, should it also, pay our taxes?
And look, this goes way deeper than just tech. This is really a debate about what's fair, what the future of work even looks like, and honestly, what our social contracts should be. So let's get into it and break down the arguments.
Okay, so first up, let's look at the yes camp. What's the argument for why AI should absolutely be paying taxes?
For the people who support this, it really boils down to three big ideas: economic justice, the fact that our systems are kind of broken for this new reality, and the need for, well, a whole new social contract. Okay, so the economic justice part. Just think about it for a second. A company swaps out a human accountant for an AI. What happens? Well, it's not just a job that disappears. The government loses all the income tax that accountant used to pay. And that's the money that, funds our roads, our schools, everything. And don't think for a second this is some far-off futuristic problem. A recent OECD report from 2024, it found that over a quarter, 25% of jobs like accounting and legal work are already at risk from AI. This is happening right now. The second point is that our current tax system just isn't built for this. It's got this massive blind spot. See, it taxes a company's profits, sure, but it has no real way of zeroing in on the value of the human labor that's been wiped out and replaced by an algorithm.
So, you're probably wondering, how would this even work? While people are already kicking around ideas, countries like Spain and South Korea are looking into something called an AI utilization tax. The basic idea is pretty straightforward. You'd give each AI a unique ID, kind of like a social security number, calculate its income based on what it does, its activity logs, and then the owner of the AI foots the bill.
And that brings us to the final and maybe most philosophical point. Taxation is basically a certificate of participation in society. So if an AI is out there creating value and it's using all of our public infrastructure to do it, the internet, the power grid, you name it, doesn't it have a responsibility to contribute, just like any other economic actor?
Okay, but let's flip the coin. The case against taxing AI is just as compelling, and it really focuses on three massive hurdles.
To put it bluntly, those who are against it say the whole idea is legally impossible, a practical nightmare, and just plain dangerous for the economy. All right, the first problem is huge, and it's all about the law. Who or what are you actually taxing? See, in every legal system on the planet, taxes are levied on a legal subject. That means a person or a corporation. AI is neither of those things. It can't own property, it has no rights, it doesn't have a legal personality. So who do you send the bill to?
And let's say, just for argument's sake, you could solve that legal puzzle. The practical side of things would be a total mess. I mean, how do you even begin to measure the value of what an AI produces? How on earth do you tax an algorithm that's constantly changing, constantly learning, and being used by millions of people all at the same time? It's a logistical nightmare.
And this leads to the third major point, which gets summed up with this really powerful analogy. Taxing AI is like taxing a shovel. The argument here is simple. AI is just a tool, a really sophisticated one, but a tool nonetheless. And you don't tax a shovel, right? If you start taxing the tools of innovation, you're essentially penalizing progress and putting your whole country at a competitive disadvantage.
Okay, so now that we've seen both sides, let's drill down to the core of it. Where do these two viewpoints really fundamentally disagree?
Well, the first big clash is about what AI even is.
It really comes down to which metaphor you buy into. Is AI an economic agent, a brand new kind of worker that creates value all by itself? Or is it just a very, very smart shovel? In that case, you don't tax the shovel, you tax the profits the person using the shovel makes.
And that core disagreement naturally leads to the next one. How should our laws deal with this?
Yeah, this is that classic fight, right? Do you need a revolution in law or just an evolution? The pro-tax side says, hey, laws have to evolve. We invented the whole idea of a corporation to deal with a new economic reality. We can do the same for AI. But the other side pushes back saying, whoa, slow down. That's way too radical. If you give AI legal status for taxes, you'd have to rethink our entire legal system, from who's liable for its mistakes to who owns what it creates.
And finally, we get to the really thorny stuff, a deep ethical question about what an AI tax would actually mean for us. So is it just a practical fix? Kind of like a carbon tax. We're not saying AI is a person, we're just taxing a technology to fix a social problem it's creating, like inequality. Or is this a massive slippery slope? Because think about it, if an AI has the duty to pay taxes, does that mean one day it will have the right to representation or legal protection? That's a huge can of worms.
So what happens next? Where do we go from here? Well, this whole debate really highlights two very distinct paths we could take.
And this really lays out the core choice we face. One path, the pro-tax path, is to create a totally new kind of tax, an AI tax, that's based on what the AI actually does. The other path, the anti-tax path, says, no, let's just beef up the systems we already have. So strengthen corporate and wealth taxes to make sure we're capturing the massive profits AI helps companies generate. It's a fundamental choice. Do we invent something new for a new era, or do we adapt what we already know?
And in the end, as technology basically rewrites our entire economy, who gets to write the new rules? This isn't just a question for economists in some ivory tower or politicians in a closed room. This is a decision about the kind of future that we all want to build, and it's a conversation that every single one of us needs to be a part of.